friends, and welcome to another WSIB Truth Matters with Joe Machado. Hope you're doing well. In my last video, I was talking about the next two videos I was going to be doing, the one today and the next one. And I was going to be talking about pre-1990 earnings basis calculation for this video, and then the next one, Bill 162, earnings basis and calculation, which applies to injuries between January 2nd, 1990 and December 31st, 1997, just before Bill 99 was enacted. So during that video, I was talking about, I gave my feedback, thoughts, and my opinion based on a little bit of research that I'd done as to what happened with the glitch that took place with the WSIB, which caused underpayment of benefits to injured workers to the tune of, I believe, about $42 million. In that video, I indicated that there wasn't anything I could do with respect to that. And I don't think there's anything anyone can do. It basically is just one of those things. It just piles on to a whole list of things that the WSIB does or doesn't do to continue to increase distrust between injured workers and the WSIB, which is not a good thing, because if you don't have confidence in a system that was set up to help you, then that means that the system is failing, regardless of what system it is. So anyway, I do know though that there's two ways that you're not going to get benefits from the WSIB. One is that they're going to deny your claim entirely, or deny your claim for certain benefits. The other reason is you can't apply for benefits that you don't know about, or whether or not you would qualify for those benefits, and how to go about determining if you would qualify. So I look at that as being the most significant of the two barriers from getting benefits from the WSIB. Because when they deny your claim for whatever reasons, and there's tons of them, many of them could be fabricated, in my opinion, based on 30 years of dealing with these people, you can appeal it. And hopefully in time, get to someone, whether within the WSIB, which I don't think that happens very often, or at the Workplace Safety and Insurance Appeals Tribunal, that looks at it and says, wait a minute, this claim should be allowed. This is nonsense. And the decision gets reversed, albeit sometimes many, many years down the road. But not knowing about benefits that you may be entitled to doesn't give you the right. You don't have the opportunity to apply for them because you don't know what they are. And therefore, you would never be in a situation where you would even be able to appeal a decision about benefits that you don't know about. And this is where I think the WSIB falls short many times of their mandate, which is to inform injured workers of the benefits that they're entitled to receive. Is it lack of experience or a much more nefarious reason? I think you all know by now what my thoughts are on that. So, having dealt with these people for over 30 years and acquired a significant level of knowledge and expertise through my paralegal firm that I operated for over 25 years and built to the largest paralegal firm in Ontario, I've had an opportunity to deal with claims that are 50 years old, so before 1990, and claims that are between January 2nd, 1990 and December 31st, and then January 2nd, 1998 to date. These are the three major legislative changes that took place that affected the structure of benefits that injured workers are paid. And that's why I bring up those three time periods. I often say to my wife, I should find a way to purge this hard drive of all of this useless information. And she reminded me the other day that it's not useless because you're using it to help others. Stay focused on that. And it's true, and that's very right. So today I'm going to enlighten you about something. And I can tell you that there are thousands of injured workers in this province, past, present, even those who have passed away, that are probably entitled to these benefits and they have no idea what they are and how to go about claiming them. I say this because in the operation of my business, with well over 10,000 clients, when I initiated this detailed review of our clientele base, and I look at percentages and then compare that with the percentages that are provided by WSIB annual statements in terms of claims allowed, and what type of claims are allowed, and for what types of benefits and that kind of stuff, I have a pretty good idea as to how many claimants there are, and there's a likelihood that many of them are being paid what they should be. And again, that's based on the fact that for all my clients that were before or had claims before January 2nd, 1990, and when I talked to them about this and put together a proposal to get them paid properly, they had no idea they were entitled to this money. So I'm going to share this with you today. And I know this is something that WSIB tried very, very hard to keep me from sharing, but you know what? Fuck them. It's not going to work. It didn't work. It's not going to work. So here's how it goes. So the earnings basis calculation is the most important calculation of your earnings when your claim is established. The reason being is that it's going to have an impact on different types of earnings that you may or may not be entitled to throughout your claim. So the calculation of the earnings basis for claims before 1990, so in two specific periods. Prior to April of 1985, claims were paid based on 75% of your gross earnings. The calculation is very simple. If you earned $1,000 a week, and the WSIB paid you while you were off work, temporary total disability, they would pay you 75% of that. That's the gross. So that $1,000 a week, that's before deductions, source remittances for tax, CBP, EI, and all those things. So it's calculated based on the gross. So if you earn $100,000 gross per week, your benefit would be calculated based on 75%, which would be equivalent to $750 a week. On April 1st, 1985, up until December 31st, 1989, the law changed, Bill 101, and therefore the calculation of the benefits would be paid based on 90% of your net average earnings, NAE. And you've probably seen this in some letters in the past, if you receive benefits. So what does that mean? Well, that means that $1,000 that otherwise you would have been paid based on the gross, now you're going to be paid based on the net average earnings. So the $1,000, you're going to have the deductions, the contributions to the government, and let's say that yielded a net payment, so your net earnings, that's take-home pay of 90%, that would be, your benefits would be paid based on 90% of that. So that is how the WSIB calculated earnings. One of the steps to calculate earnings. So then The part that I really want to focus on, that the portion that is crucial to my video today, that you may not necessarily know about, is what the WSIB can consider as earnings. And so, once that earnings basis is calculated, so 75% of the gross or 90% of the net, that will affect three different types of benefits that you may have or may be entitled to receive for your claim. Those benefits would be total temporary disability benefits. And so total temporary disability benefits pay you while you're off work, during the initial stages of your claim, while you're receiving treatment. The other benefits that it would impact are Section 147 benefits or supplements. I'm not going to get into detail with those because that in itself is a bit of a complex policy that doesn't necessarily factor into what I'm going to be talking about today. And then the third type of benefit that would be impacted is your permanent disability, your PD, otherwise referred to as a pension. And pre-1990 permanent disability awards are paid for life. They don't stop at 65, such as future economic loss awards through Bill 162 or loss of earnings benefits through Bill 99. A permanent disability award or a pension is paid until you die. So for my injury, I was injured in 1986. I received a 22.5% pension for the loss of my fingers. Since then, it has been increased because I knew what to do to get it increased. And they're currently working on increasing it more. I'll talk about how to get reassessed for your pension in another video. But anyway, for the sake of this video, I was assessed at 22.5%. How does that 22.5% get calculated? It's actually a very straightforward calculation. So let's say that the 90% of your net average earnings amounted to $800. That was your total disability benefit. When the WSIB has you assessed for a permanent disability award, the disability portion, the total disability changes. And now you are paid, or would have been paid, a partial disability or a full disability, depending on the level of your impairment. So in other words, if you were totally 100% incapacitated from working at all for the rest of your life, and I had this happen with one of our construction worker clients who suffered a bad fall and became a quadriplegic, then you receive 100% of that 90%. So you get the full $800 a month. So the award, the percentage that is assigned, will determine what your monthly benefit is. So in my case, it would have been 22.5% of that $800 per month, until I die, with, of course, annual increases and any potential increases in the actual award based on a permanent deterioration of the condition. So the total temporary disability benefit, which is what you initially get, which is your full benefits, 90% of that net average earnings. In most cases, based on the thousands of files that I've reviewed over the years, the WSIB pays, they look at the Form 7 from the employer generally provides an hourly rate. And in most cases, based on what I've seen, the WSIB takes that hourly rate, and then the Form 7 indicates how many hours per week you work, and that's your total temporary disability benefit. The thing is, there are many other factors that can be considered in that calculation, and there is another method that can be used by the WSIB to affect that calculation. So let's say that you earn $20 an hour, 40 hours a week. That's what your employer puts down on that Form 7 and submits it to the WSIB. And they start to pay you. You may or not necessarily address it. One, in most cases, I find that people don't want to rock the boat because they hear all the horror stories. Don't rock the boat because they'll cut you off or whatever. Want to stay on the board's good side. The other one is that they simply don't know about it or how to go about having that addressed. But 20 hours per week, 40 hours a week, that's $800. Then there's source deductions, which arrives at 90%, that at a certain amount, a net value, and then you get 90% of that. Seems to be pretty straightforward. But how about if you did a lot of overtime, if you did regular overtime throughout the year? Or you worked in an environment where there was piecework. And I know through the 80s and 90s, a lot of work environments were like that. What if you got bonuses and pay increases during that time? Or you received tips or commissions or room and board, or even earnings in a different currency, or a product in lieu of pay. You see, these are all forms of payment. But if the WSIB is only going to base what they're going to pay you based on what's on that Form 7, they're going to look at 20 hours a week or $20 an hour, 40 hours a week. It's easy. They send it off to payment. You get paid, everybody's happy. Never knowing that you could be out thousands of dollars. So, there is a method to having the WSIB recalculate your earnings based on 1 year prior to your injury with the employer, or a lesser time. So if you were only with the employer for a period of 2 weeks or 2 months or 5 months. And that involves a process that can be somewhat complicated. But we devised a system at my office or my company, WSIBsettlements.com, based on a proven system that I put together to not only ensure that the WSIB used all of the proper and available and allowable types of earnings in the calculation of that earnings basis, but also with the methodology to make sure that it gets done so that you get that paid to you and get that corrected. And that can also mean going back quite a number of years. And we did that for a lot of clients. And we're doing some more. So, understanding how it's done, what can be used, and then having those calculations, getting all the information required to support the argument, and having all of those calculations made before any formal submissions are made to the WSIB is crucial. Because you don't want to request something that's going to put you in a worse position. That's why I devised this system to ensure that that takes place with each and every case. So how does it work? It's very easy. You become a member of WSIBsettlements.com. You request a copy of your electronic copy of your file. It gets examined or reviewed by me personally. Then I have a discussion with you to go over my findings. Then I provide you with direction as to what's needed, very specific, very clear direction. Then once the information, I have all the information, I do a preliminary calculation to ensure that it's going to result in an increase to your benefits. Then we have a discussion based on those calculations, and then we proceed with formal submissions. So it's a simple process that I put together. For you, it may appear somewhat complex. It's not, but it's a system, and it's a process that works, that has produced results, and the board hates me for it. But anyway, I don't really give a shit. This can mean, if you qualify, this can mean significant retroactive benefits plus an increase on your pension going forward. So getting back to the three types of benefits that are affected. So any periods of total temporary disability that you received, the WSIB would have to increase those based on a new rate. Any supplements under Section 147 that you received during either medical rehabilitation or vocational rehabilitation, those periods you would be owed an increase and a check for that time, and an increase in your permanent disability to date and on a going forward basis. So that's it, folks. That's, in a nutshell, that's how it works. And you're probably watching this for the first time, and if you share this video with others, which I hope you will do, they're going to go, holy shit, I didn't know about any of this. I need to get this looked at. And you know what? It may very well be that once I do that review that you're not entitled to an increase, then at least you'll know. But I'm pretty sure I may find other things in your file that may need to be addressed and that haven't, because I always do that when I review a file, and I've reviewed thousands, so I know what to look for. I don't mean to come across as bragging or anything like that. Please don't take that in the wrong way. I'm just sharing my experience, my knowledge based on things that I've done that work, and why the WSIB so hates me. Matter of fact, I like it that way because it's a reciprocal feeling. But if I can help you add a few funds to your bank account and an increase in your pension going forward to help you have a better quality of life, then I'm happy to do that. So for my subscribers, I appreciate you subscribing, and I appreciate you sharing my videos. It's been a tremendous help in me building this channel. I'm up to, I think, 141 subscribers in a little 6 months, which exceeded my expectations. And I'm on the road to 100 videos. I think today's number 92. And I have a lot more to share. And if you're watching this for the first time and you're not a subscriber, I invite you to become a subscriber. It's free. You get notified every time that I come out with a new video by clicking that notification bell. You can go back and watch all my other videos on issues that matter, that are that apply to injured workers on a broader manner and not just to a specific group, depending on the injury date and which law applies to your claim. And please help me spread the word, because I want to, like I said, I had over 10,000 clients all over this province, so I'm well known, and then they're sharing the word with others, and I want to reach just about every injured worker that I can in this province to help them, and to do anything I can do to help them. And you can help me do that by sharing my videos. I really appreciate that. All right, friends. So coming up tomorrow, or on my next video, which may be tomorrow, not sure yet, I'm going to talk about the earnings basis calculation for claims between January 2nd, 1990 and December 31st, 1997. So claims that fall under Bill 162. So if you received a Future Economic Loss Award, or if you're receiving a Future Economic Loss Award and you received total temporary disability benefits, or a Section 43.9 supplement, all of these benefits get impacted. So I'm going to go into detail about that in my next video. And I'm going to continue to spread the word and to let you know the things that you may not know that could have a huge impact in your life right now. And as always, friends, take care.